Hey y'all, I'm live. Yep, this is my first live stream on YouTube, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my career as a um, music producer and composer. Thank you, Andrew. I'm glad to see that you're here. I'm actually going to be putting together a single and doing some previews of some covers of mine that I have made up for my next two singles. And I'll be doing that today, and then I'll also be doing a little bit of a Q&A session as well. I've got about 2 hours that I can do this in. If you guys wanna post any questions or anything, just go ahead and post them in chat. But how I got started in, like, composing, I started when I was about 17 or 18, and then I went on to compose infrequently throughout my college years when I was in my 20s. And then I went into going through a phase, I want to say, of just not doing any composing at all. For the longest time, I did it more casually. Yeah, I kind of figured on that. I've got some people that want to know about the stream. So I figured it'd be a good start, though. We also, I wanted to preview a little bit of like the music that I'm actually working on, the single that I'm working on at the moment too, as well. But we had maybe yeah, exactly, Andrew. Gotta start somewhere. I had started learning harp first before I even started learning how to compose. I had done harp for about 2 years, learning how to play music and read it, and it's similar to a piano, but instead of having the keys, you have strings in front of you, so you have to play downwards and upwards, and it's a different feel than actually having a keyboard in front of you. And that's how I got started was I just picked up a pencil and yes, a actual harp. It was a lap harp at the time, and then I actually have a harp that I got, I think, quite a few years ago. I've had it more than 10 years. It's actually a green, what you would call an Irish reliever harp, and I would play it like this, and I would have it leaning against my right shoulder. And in doing so, I had to learn how to read music. And after I picked that up, I started composing little pieces, which is in the first album, Through the Untamed World. And that's all like my basic beginning pieces that I'd put together and I had already had ready. Most of them were finished by the time I had put them up. During the pandemic, everybody was stuck at home. I was working at a pizza shop, which I'm still working there now. And I had nothing else better to do, really. I mean, there was nothing to do but sit around the house all day. And on a whim one day, I was like, well, let's see if I can actually get this music out and turn this into something worthwhile. So I put my first one out, and I didn't see much the first year because I had released them so late in the year. But after a while, after an entire year of having them out, after checking my Spotify, I've had 223 streams on Spotify alone. And my music has gone to Pandora as well, not just Pandora Premium, but Pandora Online, to where you can actually stream it through their radio. It's available on Pandora Radio. And then there's also a iHeartRadio that it's on. It's on many different streaming platforms. I also have it on Pendleton for the new exercise machines. And that's one thing that will gain in and of itself. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the I'm going to see if I can go ahead and flip screens real quick and show you my previews to let's see. Nice. Yeah, I wanted to learn violin for a while and decided on harp instead. I did pick up keyboard for a little while, and that was rather fun at first to learn, but I just didn't have the fingers for it. My fingers never went the way they were supposed to on the keyboard. But once I picked up harp and I figured out how to play it, I mean, it just came naturally to me. I just would sit there and mess around on it, just playing whatever would come up. But I'm going to see if I can't go ahead and show you guys what I've been working on. And see if I can't share my screen with you. Hey, SK. Nice to see ya. You're right on time. I'm just checking to see if I can show you guys my, um yeah, this is my first live stream, so I'm having a little bit of a hiccup. I've got everything set up aside from, like, sharing my screen on my Windows. That's fine, SK, as long as you're here. I was just sharing how I ended up getting my start with going from just working full time to go straight on into part-time music and things like that. Right now, I've kinda got a lot of windows open at the moment. So excuse me while I'm trying to get this stuff done. All right, can you guys see my screen at all? I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. By the way, Andrew, what is your screen name on Discord? Because I have quite a few that I'm a part of, and I'm just wondering which one you're a part of. Okay, you guys can't see it yet? Okay, I'm working on it. That's why I didn't recognize you. Okay, so you're from Captured in Words. I use a program online that is called, well, not online, but I use a program and it's called the Finale. They have Finale, Finale Print Music, and um, I use the Finale notepad at the moment, and everything's done digital. So I have my instruments and everything like that, and that was one of the things I was gonna show you guys, but I might just have to wait because 'cause I'm currently working on what's the next single called Diamonds in the Rough. And that one has got, like, a cello and a viola and a double bass as well as an organ and a flute in it. Yes, I do compose, like, the movements, and then I also turn around and yeah, I hear music or I have, like, a rhythm or something in my head, and I can't have anything, like, playing when I'm working on the music, and then I go back and I listen to it. I'm looking to get, like, Pro Tools as well, which is about $600, and I'm also looking at getting, like, a terabyte card for my computer so that way I can also work on it and be able to load the music onto a card and have it ready to go. But I kinda work on it in sections, like, I've got one section down the very top of the music itself to where I work on it in increments. I'll start with one instrument at a time and then work my way through, and then depending on how it sounds, sometimes I go back, I change. "Hey, Aura, nice to see you here. I'm surprised. Are you guys enjoying the stream even though it's only a few of you?" Alright, give me 1 sec. Oh, I know. You've seen me type so much, Aura, that it ain't even funny. I used to frequent, Kate Madison when she did a lot of the streams. That was kinda like my background when I was composing my music, so it made for interesting background. When I'd be working on projects, I'd have Kate Madison streaming in the background, and I'd be working on something at the same time. Can you guys hear me alright? Or am I too loud or not loud enough? Just let me know. I wish I could honestly, share my screen with you guys so you could actually see what I've been working on, because 'cause I've made some amount of progress lately. Alright, I was just making sure because this is a brand new mic, and I'm good distance away from it, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not, like, yelling over the mic or anything with this. But one of my first ones that I'm working on is gonna be called Diamonds in the Rough. That's the very first single that I'm working on. I've already got the covers made, and the, um I've got 2 of the covers made, and I've got mostly everything organized for my next, um, sets of albums. Oh, thank you. But I have my next sets of albums kind of organized. I don't really have a title for them yet because I'm starting everything from scratch, and I'm working my way up through there to get to where I need to be. I'm still missing 1 more set of titles that I had written up. "Hey, kitchen, thanks for coming." But I've still gotta find, like, one more because a lot of these albums are inspired by sci-fi or fantasy or things like that to where it's like, it's gonna have an interesting sound. I've even got one called Gothic Halls that I wanna work on, but it's gonna have a more of a deep, rich Gothic sound to it, and so I've had to do some research along the way because I didn't study hardly any music theory, so I'm kinda learning by ear and learning as I go along. Some of it is just knowing the instruments or having the time to be able to sit down and write any of the music. Some of it is just working on it in chunks. So it makes for very interesting times when I'm actually sitting down and working on it because right now with me, everything's digital as far as the music goes. Now, when it comes down to my writing, that can be a toss up, in all honesty. That can be either on paper or on the computer. And it really just depends on what mood I'm in. And I actually got this mic right around Christmas so that way I could be able to live stream. I was gonna try and get it done on Christmas Day, but as you well know. No, not really. I'm not that experienced right now. So choral work or lyrics, not always. It really just depends. I'm saying I'm growing in experience. I mean, at first, I only fiddled around with 1 or 2 instruments, but as I've gone along, I've tried to do more complicated pieces. So, I'm really getting into more, like, chamber music, or I'm getting into a little bit more of a classical, I don't wanna say swing, but a little bit more classical leaning. 'Cause my latest piece has an organ in it, and I think my second piece that I'm gonna be working on will also have an organ in it. I've got some unfinished pieces that I still haven't finished that I either need to rewrite or fix in some way to where I can get it to sound the way I want. I know, like, when I first started, that's all I used to work on would be, like, harp pieces, because that's all I knew. That was pretty much all I knew about, was how to play harp, how to compose for harp, and then as I've gone along, I've added more instruments or tried to change up different things in the music itself, and a lot of it is just really, really fun in the fact that I'm doing a lot of experimentation. Yes, like a pipe organ. Pretty much like a pipe organ. And there's a lot of different instruments that are, like, available to me um, through the Finale notepad, but I'm looking to upgrade to the Finale or the Finale print music, which is about $600. and that gives me even more options to change key signatures, change out how many instruments I have, if I have a section or if I just do strings or when I bring things in and out, there's a lot more options available to me to even level up what I've got even more. 'Cause I really wanna move into something akin to, like, Howard Shore or, um, even closer, if you guys have ever heard of, like, Dan Gibson, that's kind of the line that I go down. I try and take you on a journey. Hello, Debbie, I don't have an opinion on that. This is mostly about music and writing in general, not necessarily about food. But a lot of the programs that I'm using right now, like for the covers, is like Adobe Creative Cloud and to where I can take different elements that they already have and put them together into an album and make a cover by layering them. And no, I don't have any experience with the trombone. I mean, I have used, I think some bass, and I may have used a piccolo and one other instrument, but I haven't done anything with the trombone. I am trying to move more into, like, the woodwinds and the horns, but it's taken a little bit of experience. It's gonna take a little bit more, experimentation before I can do anything with that. Now, I would love to see, like, that type of music so I can kinda see how it's played, what it sounds like. Usually, if I can hear it, I can understand it. Because for a while, I did learn by ear. I mean, I do like my bass instruments. I do have a double bass in the current project I'm working on, and it's got that deep sound, but it's all about how can I balance it out? How can I hear these different instruments at different times? Because I know it's there, but it's a matter of bringing it out. A lot of, like, what I'd like to work on would be, like what I've said before with Howard Shore and how you hear these big productions with a massive orchestra for games and movies and stuff like that. That's kinda the aim that I like, as well as some of the older, more classical music is some of my leaning, and that I tend to listen to anyways. But it's also interesting to have something that isn't quite a I don't say an old sound, but isn't quite so cut from the same cloth almost is the phrase I'm looking for. Instead, it's done differently. It's like some of the instruments are the same, but they're not always. I don't know how many of you guys have heard Through Sherwood Forest. That was inspired kind of, but not quite. We only speak English, please. Yeah, it's kinda like that it hits you, but I want it to be, like, stunning and to where it's like you kinda know it's classical or it has classical roots to it, but it's not quite classical. Because in Sherwood Forest, the idea behind it was, what would running through Sherwood Forest sound like? That was the question behind my thought process in making that one specific piece. And as I wrote it, it turned out that it was like you were running through Sherwood Forest or you were on a horse riding through Sherwood Forest. And that was kind of the sound that I was as I was writing it out and composing it. Yeah, but this one was a lot slower. You didn't get all the instruments at once. You kinda got bits and pieces as you went along and kinda added more as you went along with that one. I kinda used the instrument itself as a sound effect instead of having sound effects added, like horses' hooves. I used the music itself to take you on that journey. And that's the one biggest thing that I love to do with this music is kinda take you away on a journey or take you somewhere you've never been before while you were out without even having to leave your own home. And that's one thing I've always loved. I've never heard of Peter Wolf. I'd have to look him up, but that's kind of what I like to do. I mean, even when I was writing Cliffs of Dover, I was remembering when I went to Ireland and I could look across and I could see the Cliffs of Dover because we could see Scotland from where we were when we went on our trip. In one of the pictures, you could actually see the northern end of Scotland right across from the oh, Peter the Wolf. Okay, I'd still have to look it up because 'cause I'm still not familiar with that particular piece. And some of it is inspired by, like, Chavatsky and his ballets. That music tends to take you on a journey. That music tends to be its own sound effects. A lot of the not even like Bach or anything like that for the concertos, it's more the ballets that have inspired me. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't have any sound effects, so I had to improvise everything. Sorry, guys, I had to stream up on a different channel here for my YFM. I've put the link in the description for you guys. You can add tips either here or if You wanna go on YFM, I've got one up there as well for my artist profile. But, yeah, that's kinda where I went with having the different noises, and, like, if you listen to what I've already got out, that's why it seems to sound a little different, is that I've had to improvise. I've used the instruments to make the music, but also to make the sound effects. If you had ever watched, or heard of, like, Bald Mountain or something like that, or even The Carnival, those use those same concepts of using the instruments to make sound effects, and that's one thing I absolutely love doing, and when it comes down to, like, choosing everything, it really just depends on the piece. It depends on what I'm going for. Some pieces come easier, some come harder. I've got 2 that I had been working on and that have been a lot of trial and error, and I keep going back to them because I really wanna finish them, but I haven't been able to, either because when I've gone to work on them, I've been in so much pain that I can't do anything, and it's just not real clear in the thought process, or it's come straight and easy. Like with Sherwood Forest, it came pretty easily. It was just a matter of knowing which instruments I needed and which ones I need to use. The other 2, one is called Kylo Ren's Transformation. I have been working on that one for a while, and I just can't get the sound right. It may take a while longer to get that one. The other one is Darkness Contained, and that's also another one that's doesn't quite have the right sound that I'm looking for. I think I need to take it and reevaluate what instruments I'm looking at using and how I'm working it and how I'm making it sound. I would have to look him up. I mean, I'm always up for learning and listening to different people. That's one thing that I tend to like to branch out on, is always listening and looking at different music because I've got a long way to go. I'm still learning. I mean, I've learned everything pretty much on my own from the beginning. And I didn't really have a teacher. I had a harp teacher, and that was teach me any music theory. So everything's just been taking steps, trial and error. And this is going to be my first 2 full albums that I did not have ready to go. I tend to listen to more like the classical, or like if you've ever heard of ancient airs, things of that sort. That's kind of my leaning. And I like to listen to like instrumental, especially where I'm trying to learn how to write instrumental music. And some of it, like King William's Waltz. You guys have probably heard that one before. When I went over to Ireland and I found out the history of King William, how he came to be King of Ireland and things like that, when I had come back, that's one of the things that I had gotten attracted to was I had heard some of the music. I had been a part of the, um, parade that they have there over in Ireland, and I wanted to do something a little different, but I knew it needed to have that classical noise or that classical sound to it, and when I came up with it, it was a 4 by 4 or a 4/4 time signature, and it's each quarter note is 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's kinda how I wanted it to sound, but I knew it needed to have the more classical, waltz with the harp, and instead of using piano, I went more for the harp instead. But I'm gonna have to figure out, like, how to show you guys my screens and how to show you, like, what I've been working on, because 'cause I'm not sure how to turn this camera over to where I can start sharing my screen. That's one thing I think I'm gonna have to learn for my next live stream, which I'm not sure when it's going to be. It really just depends on my work schedule right now. I have to go back in at about 4 o'clock today and work the night shift, so I won't be on but for another hour and a half at the most. I have heard of the planets. I have heard of them because we probably were gonna have a busy night tonight. I mean, it was fairly slow this morning, but we did have, like, 2 good sized orders to get out this morning, so it really just depends on what happens. But for the most part, I'm probably gonna be on night shift for a while. It's okay right now. I'm probably gonna have to put some KT tape on my ribs because they're what's acting up right now. Um, where I had to stand and I had to get up fairly early this morning. I was helping them with a big order for 30 pizzas, and then I had to hang around for a little bit, but it really just depends on how cold or hot it is. Right now, it's not that cold, so it doesn't hurt like it did yesterday morning because we had all that rain coming in, and usually right before a storm, I never get any sleep. And I will be saving this live stream too as well in case there's anybody who comes in later or wants to watch it at a certain point. It will be saved on YouTube to where there will be a link to it in case there's others who wanna see it and wanna watch it and everything and get more about what's going on. I'm sorry I couldn't get the screen sharing to work this first time, but at least I was able to tell you guys about what I was working on. I've got a lot of things organized. It's just a matter of starting to work and being able to work on them. Do you guys have any other questions or comments? Yeah, I was hoping everything would run a little smoother. I mean, granted, I got everything set up and I haven't had any technical issues, which is better than I expected. I still have some learning to do on this one. And that's the one thing I need to figure out is how to do a live stream because I only have one laptop and I don't have like a secondary stream at the moment. I don't have like a secondary laptop to where I can swap screens at all. So that one's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but at least that's the only hiccup I've run into. Is just the sheer fact that I didn't know how to screen share while on a live stream. Because I have seen it done by other YouTubers when they've wanted to show things off, but where I only have one laptop and I only have one screen, I'm gonna have to figure out how that's gonna work. And right now, my little pet mouse, he's asleep. I fed him some treats and he's back asleep. He probably wants me to spend some time with him here soon. Yeah, right now, all I have is my computer's webcam, so I don't have an extra one yet. Yeah, but see, I'm not on Zoom right now, just on my webcam, and I'm recording. Yeah, I probably will have to ask there on Weave the Tail. Oh, I don't have any of that set up. Everything's, like, just pictures and covers and things like that. Yeah, I do have some streaming software. I don't have OBS. I'll have to check and see what I do have. There is, but I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, OBS is free. I picked up something else, though, from Twitch. I can see if I can find it real quick. For the game viewer. I don't do Linux, sorry. I've tried Linux and it's like a whole whole 'nother world for me. I grew up on Windows for the most part, so Linux is kinda out of the question. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check and see what I can download because I might be able to, because they do offer me the option of streaming software when I go in and do live streams. So I might be able to get it to work both ways. I'll just have to double check and see what ones, because right now I don't have a whole lot of storage space on my laptop at all. So I'm gonna have to see what I've got and what I can download for these different. Oh, I did have like the game viewer at one point, and that's one thing that kind of made a difference. But at the time, I wasn't considering doing any sort of like live streaming or anything like that. Sometimes it really just depends on the view or where I'm at or what picture I'm looking at. I tend to keep, like, pictures on my phone, or I even use minis from Hero Forge. Like, I'll make up minis from Hero Forge for either writing or music ideas, and I keep just the pictures of them downloaded, because sometimes I wanna go back or I wanna look at them or whatever, but they do provide. I'm very much I don't say I'm an outdoors person, but I'm very much love nature. I grew up in a suburb, so every chance I got to go out to the country, I loved. It was one of the best things in the world was going out and going to see the horses or going to a local historic mill that we used to go to, and I love just being out there. One of the things I used to do all the time before my shoulder got even worse was I'd go out and I'd take walks. As of this point, though, it's not been too easy to go out and take walks even in my small area. Yeah, see, I grew up in the suburbs right outside of a city, and when I left, it was 75,000 people, and the traffic was horrendous. I'll put it that way. It was not fun to live in that place anymore. And when I moved out where I am now, it's quiet, it's a small town. You don't get a whole lot of traffic, there isn't a whole lot going on, but it does make a difference because it's like once I get home from work sometimes and I slow down, it's like I don't have to worry about being here, there, and everywhere. It's almost like I can kinda shut the world out and focus on whatever I need to focus on and not have to worry about going out and doing things. Now me, I even wanna move farther out into the country than where I am now. Right now, I'm kinda on the edge of the town, but I wanna move out even farther than this. And I wouldn't describe it so much as a feeling, it's more like I can hear what I'm seeing or smell sometimes an emotion. It's rather interesting because I can get in tune with those types of things, but it also makes it more fun when you're, like, testing out music and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have ever um, gone into your own little world to work on something, or if you've ever gone to college and you have to kinda completely shut out the world in order to work on something. That's the type of thing that I've learned how to do over the years, to where it's just, like, me and what I'm working on for the most part. Like, there's certain smells that I associate with certain things and how things work. It's always interesting, like, when I'm putting something together sometimes, I'm thinking about where am I at? That's one of the challenges to even just being a historical writer, because it makes it harder to, conceptualize certain areas. Like, when you're thinking about a castle that's brand new and all you have is pictures of is all these older castles that are either falling apart, they don't have the luxury that they used to look like, and you have to kinda go off of what's going on and what's there and how it works. And that's kinda how I have to visualize what I see whenever I'm working on a book too, is I constantly keep working, and I have to see it almost like a movie in my mind when I'm working on it. Like the spy novel I had been working on. I also write novels. I do more than one thing. I'm one of those, I have more than one interest. So I work on books and I work on music. It just depends on what my focus is. Right now, I'm having a hard time sitting down and holding a pen. So my writing is kind of laying off to the side. But it's just as much a part of me as writing music is. That's why when I bring it in and I bring it up, it's because it's there. I can't just not talk about it when I'm talking about music, because the 2 are kinda intertwined. They're very similar to me. Oh, you wanna see Baron? You wanna see my little mousy buddy? Okay, hold on. I have to wake him up. He is not awake at the moment, and he is snuggled up in his little sock. So give me a second. Yes, little buddy, mama needs you. All right, here he comes. Here's my little mousy buddy. He likes to help me sometimes when I'm working on stuff or when I'm talking to you guys. He also can be a little whiny. Yes, everybody's saying hi to you. Yes, they are. I know. Why did I wake you up? Right now he can't snuggle with me at the moment. I don't have any pockets. I don't have anywhere for him to snuggle in. He's just wondering why in the world I woke him up. And now you see why he is named Baron. I've had him for about 2, almost 3 years now. And yes, he is very cute. He is very snuggly. Um, a lot of times he'll sit with me and things like that. There's times when he'll just sit on my chest. He's very good at, like, relieving stress as a pet. He'll just sit with me and just hang around and everything, so it makes it a whole lot easier sometimes, although sometimes he does get quite a bit excited, and he likes to just run on his wheel. And then the other thing that I end up doing sometimes is knitting. So this is my current project, at least some of it. I'm trying to get to the mountains, but it's a slow process. It's something that I use as stress relief. Yes, she would, because this little mouse, he's afraid of everybody. He is not sociable. He does not want any brothers or sisters. There are times when he doesn't even want my brother around. He will stick only to me because when I first got him, he was so small that it took a while for him to realize that I was going to be able to take care of him. I mean, he sits literally about yay big. So he's not that big. I mean, he can fit in my hand. And granted, as long as mice should live, he's lasted longer than most. He's lasted about 3 years. And usually their lifespan is about 2 to 3. But I have a suspicion that he's probably going to be around a lot longer. He's a very healthy mouse, too. He eats very good food, very healthy mouse food. And he doesn't get a whole lot of human food. I try not to give him too many human food treats. So I can do a little bit of checking. Yeah, we get like field mice around the area sometimes and just in the area. But I mean, it's not too bad. But I think I'm going to end the stream here, guys, and go ahead and see if I can't do some more research on some different streaming. I won't say gear, but different streaming. I'm trying to think of what it's called, but the different streaming software so I can get some downloaded and do some experimentation so I can actually show you guys how I how I can get this stuff sorted. That way for the next one, whenever I have it, it'll work. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it was. I mean, I enjoyed myself even if I couldn't do everything. But thank you for coming in.